please stand and join me in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Any additions, corrections, or deletions to tonight's agenda as drafted? Seeing no changes suggested, I'd entertain a motion to approve said agenda.
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Second by trustee Anderley. Any additional discussion or comment? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to President's Report. Local Liquor Control Commission appointment. As folks are aware, I would like to include a fourth member to the Liquor Commission. That would be trustee Will Brandt. And so with the board's consent, I would like to have him appointed so he can start joining us at the next round of meetings. Any comments or questions? Okay.
Yes, can I hear you?
Okay, thank you. So if anyone is okay, I'd take a motion on that, please.
Move to approve the appointment of Dan Wilbran as a commissioner for local liquor commission.
Okay, motion and a second by trustee Yaska. Any additional discussion or comment? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Price.
Aye.
Trustee Escott.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Lapagianis.
Aye.
Trustee Anderley.
Aye.
Trustee Wilbur.
Abstain.
Okay, 5 ayes, 1 abstention, motion carries. Moving on to West Dundee Fire Pension Board appointment. Joe, what is the detail on this?
Kathy Hayes is resigning as the position, and we are appointing Linda Chambers, Finance Director, for the Pension Board.
Okay, comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to appoint Linda Chambers to the Fire Pension Board.
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Second by trustee Johnson. Any additional discussion or comment? Hearing none. Madam Clerk.
Trustee Escott.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Lapagianis.
Aye.
Trustee Anderley.
Aye.
Trustee Wilbur.
Aye.
Trustee Price.
Aye.
All ayes, motion carries. That's the extent of my report. Moving on to reports and questions from trustees and working groups, starting with trustee Anderley.
I just want to wish you a very happy.
Thank you. We have cupcakes, so please, guys, take some at the end. But thank you, trustee Anderley. Trustee Alapajanis.
I have nothing but I apologize. I was in the city at a meeting in traffic.
That's okay, I understand. Trustee Johnson,
Just the agenda.
thank you. Trustee Uska,
I have nothing.
trustee Price,
Just the agenda.
trustee Wilbrand.
For those that observe the Crosstown Classic, can we just maintain from saying any scores for those
Yeah.
that are recording it at home
Okay, yes, yeah, for sure. I think it starts what, right about now?
right now?
Okay.
7:05.
All right, moving on to village staff reports. Chief Green, anything to report? Okay. Chief Spiro, anything to report? Director Scott, anything to report? Thomas, anything to report? Okay, thank you. Director Chambers, anything to report? All right, thank you. I think that is everyone. Okay. I'm sorry? Joe, do you have anything to add?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. All right, moving on to questions from the audience. This is an opportunity for those in attendance to address the board on items that are both on the agenda and not on the agenda. And we have one person signed up to speak to the board tonight, and that is Debbie Vernon. Ms. Vernon, you come to us from Sleepy Hollow. All we ask is you please come forward and share what you'd like to share. And please note that your comment section is limited to 5 minutes.
Can I sit down or stand up?
Your choice.
Use the
Well,
microphone.
microphone either way.
Yes.
Hello? Good evening. My name is Debbie Vernon, and I'm a resident of Sleepy Hollow, living at 821 Locust Drive. My husband Pete and I have lived here for 24 years and own our home. My background is a retired local government accountant, and I retired in 2021 for the village of Lake Barrington, with 16 years of experience in Illinois, and before that, 4 years in Wisconsin in local government as well, at the city of Lake Geneva. The previous 20 years, I was in corporate accounting. I'm very familiar with general operations, ordinances, regulations, and best practices in local government. My husband's a master code professional with building codes, zoning, construction, and development, and has his own consulting business. We have been involved in the village of Sleepy Hollow for the last 2 years, going to most meetings and making comments and working to improve our village due to our background experience. I would like to comment tonight on the professionalism of the staff reports and the transparency in your packet being available before the meeting. On the staff report, 14 pages on the particular issue I was interested in. The agendas and documentations from the village of West Dundee are very helpful. This is in contrast to the village of Sleepy Hollow, where this is not the case, unfortunately. But we are working with trustees to make improvements to follow best practices. I'm here tonight to comment on the item on the agenda, 999 West Main Street, Life Zone 360, proposed location for the Harvest Bible Chapel. We live 5 houses away from the Life Zone building on Locust. My concerns are the special use standards for places of assembly / places of worship. The items that I'm concerned about, number 3, and these are listed on the staff report, not to impede the normal and orderly development of surrounding properties for uses in the district. Number 4, adequate utilities, access roads to be provided. And number 5, adequate measures to provide ingress and egress to design as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. I also feel the church doesn't fit in so well with the overall Spring Hill revitalization plan for the area as a whole, in my opinion. I believe that other uses, such as medical uses, exercise and workout facilities, do not go along with this mega-type church. The church estimated 1,200 capacity, and I looked it up. They currently have 1 service on Sunday morning in Elgin off of Randall Road. The traffic will be so busy and cars will be cutting through the neighborhoods onto Route 31, perhaps 72, through Sleepy Hollow to get to Randall Road. When the Target store was operating there, there were never 1,200 people in the store. I contacted today St. Catherine's Church, the parish office, and their maximum capacity is around 800 people, they told me, but only on a few major religious holidays. They do have 3 services on Sunday, 1 on Saturday evening, and a daily morning mass. Their services are spread out. There's a financial side of this proposal as well. There is $90,000 of property tax revenue collected per the last annual tax bill. A nonprofit entity would not be paying this to the taxing bodies. There is also a TIF District number 5 included in that total that nonprofits would most likely not pay of $38,000, as well as school district of $36,000 and the village of West Dundee $15,000. Under the category development agreement from a staff memo, it seems that the church would want to use the Adrenaline Monkey part of the building for church activities, but to use the 360 area zone for possible staying with the existing tenants and non-church uses. That would require a separate parcel, so there would be 2 parcels. This seems to be not realistic answer. It would not be best for the long-term development of this important commercial and retail property. And the way I understand it is a nonprofit has to have nonprofit activities to not pay the property taxes. Like I said, it would be a best for the long-term development of this important commercial and retail property to fit in, again, to the overall vision of the Spring Hill revitalization. A better idea, in my opinion, would be for the church to find a more suitable space for their church, such as possibly a light industrial park. I believe the use of parcels in an already retail and commercial zoning belong in that zoning for a reason to improve the surrounding areas. Under the category listed on the staff memo, consideration from the staff memo to the village manager and director of economic development. I believe, in my opinion, would be to ask the village board of West Dundee not to support exploration of this idea to potentially adaptively reuse the building and wish to have a public hearing to have the proposal vetted along with the corresponding code updates and identified by the village attorney considered. So I would say no, pass. It doesn't fit in with the village as a whole. Thank you for listening to my comments and concerns, and I appreciate having a chance to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Vernon, if you want to share your comments with Director Scott, if you have a printed copy, that would be great.
He's here.
Thank you. Ma'am, I see you stood up. Would you like to?
I didn't know if there could be further discussion. I also just had, I'm here to express concerns and questions also about the life zone being taken over by the
Okay,
church.
so,
So I didn't know if there was.
I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, so if you'd like to come forward, all we'd ask is your name and address for the record, please.
Margaret Bach. I live here on Oregon with my husband and daughter.
Yes.
My daughter is a participant in the gymnastics program, and many of the moms and parents wanted to come, but gymnastics is in session. Personally, I've heard a lot of things that are concerning to me with the takeover of this property by Harvest Baptist. It seems as though it's an important place. We don't have any facility like that anywhere else. Many different families come from all over the place there. There's no place for the gymnastics to move to that I can think of. Discussions I've heard from members or trying to be professional here. It seems as though there's already a takeover of that property in the discussions that people are saying. This place is being cut out, this is being cut out. It's very disturbing to me. I don't know much about it, never been to one of these meetings before, but I'm just here to say that myself and at least the women that I speak to and their children that are involved in it are very opposed to it. I don't think those two things should be mixed. I don't feel like me paying my child's gymnastic fee should in any way, and I don't know how it's all getting worked out, should be going towards paying the rent or mortgage for Harvest Baptist if they own the property.
Thank you very much. Okay, we don't have any more folks signed up, so we will move on to consent agenda items A through G. I have to read each in perpetuity in record. So item A, approval of bill list for $965,903. Item B, 1201 Wiesman Drive, an ordinance approving a plat of vacation and ordinance approving a plat of easement grant. Item C, Veterans Day activities, Graffelman Park special event. Item D, residential dumpster extension at 424 South 2nd Street. Item E, Bamboozles Riverfest, new dates, October 30th and 31st, 2026. Item F, approval of minutes for the regular board meeting of July 20th, 2026. And item G, approval of minutes for regular board meeting August 3rd, 2026. Do I have any additions, corrections, or deletions to the consent agenda as drafted? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items A through G.
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Second by trustee Alapajanis. Any additional discussion or comment? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Yeska?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Lapagianis?
Aye.
Trustee Andalou?
Aye.
Trustee Wilbrandt?
Aye.
Trustee Price?
Aye.
All ayes, motion carries. Moving on to resolutions and ordinances. Item A, ordinance authorizing the First Amendment to the fiscal year 26-27 budget of the Village of West Dundee. Trustee Yuska.
Since the recent adoption of the current budget, there have been some items that the board has approved that were not included in that document at the time. And in order to add them in and include them in the budget, this is the reason for this First Amendment, but also staff has identified some changes and opportunities to the accounting structure in order to create new budget line items that provide greater transparency and more accurate tracking of revenue and expenditures. Now, this is a very extensive list. I'm not going to read through the list, but if Director Chambers has Any highlights, please offer them.
I think you got it. You guys all have the list in front of you. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, comments or questions from the board?
I do, Linda, I do have a couple, just two quick questions. There was a capital improvement line for 4.166 million, going to 4.751 million. I didn't see any documentation as to why that number increased.
That is our lead service line phase 2. So the bids came in higher than originally anticipated. So that increases the budget line for that. But on the other side, you'll see we increased the revenue for the IEPA loan that goes along with it.
The board authorized the increase in the loan amount at a previous board meeting to this amount.
Yeah, I didn't see that called out, but okay, got it. And then the other piece you made, there was comments on the main breaks, all the main breaks. That goes in water and sewer, and we probably, I'll ask a couple questions on that that goes into water and sewer, is that right?
The main break, yes.
Yeah, okay. And what that looks like. Other than that, I kind of understood all of the puts and takes in the accounting. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
Just a comment. I like the better detail on some of the expenses and revenues rather than just kind of go into the same pot. So especially like for like the for the inspections and different things like that. So I think this is great. So thank you for doing that.
Okay. Trustee Huska.
I move to approve an ordinance authorizing a first amendment to the fiscal year 2026-27 budget of the Village of West Dundee.
Motion.
Second.
Second by Trustee Johnson. Any additional discussion or comment? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Huska?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Lapijanus?
Aye.
Trustee Annaly?
Aye.
Trustee Wilbrand?
Aye.
Trustee Price?
Aye.
All ayes, motion carries. Well done, Linda. Moving on to item B, ordinance authorizing the renewal of aggregation program for electrical load. Trustee Huska.
I will let Manager Caballero speak to this, or who, or your spokesperson.
I will defer to Adam Hoover for just a moment. The village has had a managed municipal aggregation program for a number of years. Unfortunately, it has not translated into the rate differentials that were available early on in the program, but we still do receive an annual civic contribution towards the program, and we are continuing to recommend the continuation of the electrical aggregation program for the Village of West Dundee moving forward, and I'll just defer to Adam if he has any other comments.
Yep, I'll just say NYMEC's been working with the village for 10 plus years, primarily on the village's own accounts and finding a lower rate than NYMEC. Than ComEd. We do a NYMEC bid with about 100 plus other municipalities. Many of you may recognize my father, Dave Hoover, who's been here, and he's spending more time golfing and with the grandkids now. So the municipal aggregation program, which is for residents, expires in the fall. And so we need to make a decision on a renewal. And so out of our 45 programs in ComEd territory, 44 of them are this price match program. Our number one job is to see if we can find savings for the residents. If the ComEd rate is 10 cents, if we can find a rate that's 9 cents, we would love to bring that to you. No supplier is offering that for many of our towns in ComEd. So this is the next best option. It is what you're currently running, which is the price match program. So residents that are moved over to ComEd continue to pay the same rate as ComEd as it goes up and down and up and down. There's no savings to the resident. We wish there was, but there's no savings to the resident. More importantly, there's no extra cost ever to the resident. They will never pay a cent more. There'll never be a change to their billing. There'll never be a change to how their power is delivered. If there's an outage, they still call ComEd, how they make their payments to ComEd. Virtually no change to the residents. For the last 2 years, you have been receiving a check from MC Squared for $6,000 annually. In the renewal process, they have upped that offer to $10,000 annually. The other big change, and then I'll get to your questions, is we are encouraging a 6-year deal with 2-year opt-out options. The reason for this is because in 2 years from now, I will come back and say, hey, do you want to renew the deal? Do you guys want to take the $12,000 or the $8,000 or whatever they offer? And so it gives you the ability to do that. If there's an ability to find savings for residents and we can finally find a rate that goes to savings, we can still move to that. It still gives you the flexibility. But with a 6-year deal, you do not need to send out letters to every single resident like you currently do every 2 years. And so we're trying to limit the amount of letters that go out to residents of a program that's already in place. So that is why we're encouraging the 6-year deal. I've thrown a lot of information at you, so I'll take any questions you may have.
So process-wise for residents, will they receive another letter come fall?
Yes, and if you go with a 6-year deal, let's say it's a 6-year program, so then residents who aren't impacted, like those who have solar or have a different supplier, they won't receive another another letter for 6 years unless we find savings.
Okay. And they do not have to opt in, correct? Or do
Matters
they?
which resident you're talking about. Those residents I was talking about, the ones with solar, they don't have to do a thing. They are by state law not included in the program. If for some reason they do want to be included, they can. Every resident has the ability to go wherever they want.
Okay.
The ones that are already in, though, they would just automatically stay in, correct?
Yep, nothing changes, and if the program ends in 2 years from now or 6 years from now, they would automatically go back to ComEd. In essence, those residents never need to do anything to find.
Okay, and the ones that are currently not in, they, did they need to take action to get in, or?
They could. I want to be very clear. Every resident can get in the program if they want. There is no benefit since there is no savings. So when a resident calls me and says, hey, I want to join the program, you're more than welcome to. I'll show you how to do it. But more importantly, there's no savings or change to your billing, so there's really no added benefit in doing so.
And is there, so for the 10,000 that we're gonna get,
Yep.
is there any sort of minimum number of residents? So as long as
If
one
every single,
signs
this is my
up,
favorite part, if every resident opts out, then you guys will still receive your 10,000 for the next 2 years.
even if nobody does
If
it?
everyone opts out by the contract, so yeah. So the beauty is when a resident calls me and says, what should I do? I'm not trying to sell them on anything.
Yeah.
We're just trying to give them the best advice possible.
So probably the benefit to a resident staying in or joining the program would be not so much that they make any money, it doesn't hurt the village today, but chances are we probably, nobody's gonna come back to us if 0 residents was in the.
Yeah, so you're right. In 2 years from now, I don't know if that offer would still be $10,000 if you had 0 residents, so that's a
Right.
good point.
So that
Yes.
would be worth noting, I guess, if people are asking, is that the village
Sure.
does, it helps, in some incremental way, help your taxes,
Yeah, I would
et
say that's a
cetera.
fair cost, yeah.
Thank you.
So your current rate is the same as ComEd's? I'm just trying to understand
Yep, the
this.
current aggregation program in West Dundee is the same rate as ComEd. No savings, no extra cost.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments or questions? All right, Trustee Eska.
I move to continue the program for electrical aggregation services for the Village of West Dundee and approve an ordinance authorizing the renewal of aggregation program for electrical load with MC Squared Energy Services.
Motion.
Second.
Second by Trustee Price. Any additional discussion or comment? Hearing none. Madam Clerk?
Trustee Eska?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
Aye.
Trustee Lapajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Anderly?
Aye.
Trustee Wilbrandt?
Aye.
Trustee Price?
Aye.
All ayes, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to unfinished business, item A, 305 Oregon Avenue, also known as the Mansion, consideration of a license for continued mixed residential use. Trustee Price.
Yeah, so I think everybody's seen this so far at various meetings. Unfortunately, we had adjudications and other sorts of things. We had some quorum issues, so now we've got everybody here. We can actually reach a decision on this, and the owner is here, so if you'd like to speak to the board as a whole, that would be great.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tal Azim. I actually brought my contractor, Charlie, as well, too, trying to get concerns and questions about.
Just one second. Can everybody hear in the back?
No, you need
You'll
to.
have to use the microphone,
Make sure you use
sir.
the mic. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. My name is Tala Azim. This is my contractor, Charlie. I understand from last time that you guys had some issues and concerns about the upkeep and what developments we're going to make for the property. Like I said, I do want to spruce the place up and, give it like a fresh new look without changing any of the architecture design. Because, I value what it looks like, and I think it's a beautiful place. So I have Charlie here, who's been in construction and contracting for about 25 years plus, and he's gonna help me actually, get the place going and get the upkeep going.
Okay, question, I'm sorry.
Say a few words.
Please.
So one of our wheelhouses is historic properties, and our goal is to restore this place to its original glory. And obviously, there's a lot of rotten wood, soffits, fascia that needs to be addressed. That we're going to start with the exterior facade. Eventually, the windows are going to need to be replaced because they're single pane. He's losing a lot of energy. At some point, we're going to identify with our infrared gun where we need to drill holes, inject foam. And not sure if the red and green is the original historic color. It doesn't really look good, but with the color of the brick, the tan stucco definitely goes, but we would be willing to work with the Historical Society to make this place grand again. And that's our goal. And then eventually we need to make a couple of the bathrooms inside on the first floor and second floor ADA compliant, and a ramp for his mother and his aunt that are not doing well, and update the inside and make it, still keep it looking old, and I'm not sure if Victorian's the right Tudor, maybe English Tudor, but keeping that kind of door style trim, floorboards, wallpaper, paint colors, stuff like that. And possibly, if it's in the budget, moving those sprinkler systems on the first floor and the second floor up into the ceiling so they're a little more attractive.
Comments or questions for the petitioner or the contractor?
Thanks for your comments. That's great. I mean, I think a big part of why we want to, get something in there is, we want to maintain the historical integrity of the building. And so it's good to hear you speak about that. And, both interior and exterior. I mean, the exterior is beautiful. The interior is probably even more beautiful with all the built-ins and everything like that. So that's great to hear. Obviously, as an older building, it does need work, and so that's good. At the last meeting, you spoke a little bit about sort of why you wanted to do this, and I think perhaps most of, or everybody's heard that before, but maybe if you could just quickly sort of reiterate.
Sure. So my main purpose of purchasing this property is because I'm a primary caretaker for my mom and two of my aunts. And right now, like, I have experience in the construction and property management, but I had to kind of put my life on hold to take care of them, going from one nursing facility to another to make sure they're getting fed and getting taken care of. So this property is, I saw this property like 5 years ago. When I first started, I became a caretaker for my aunt. Unfortunately, at the time, I couldn't acquire it, but now that I have, the means to acquire it, I wanted to, bring all my family that needs care into under one roof. It's like I said before, it's not just an investment; it's like a purpose for me, and it's mainly because I saw my dad suffer and pass away in 6 months being at a nursing facility, and I don't want my mom or my aunt, who's already in a nursing facility right now, to go about that route. And I'm really passionate about this. I'm trying to be aggressive about it because, now it's like I have one of my aunts is in hospice care now. So I want to bring her home, and I have her with the family, not be inside of a nursing home, but just like a hospital. So that's my goal.
Yeah. And so your intention would be for your aunt and parents to live in there, and then your personal family, immediate family would be there as well? Is that?
No, so it'd be me, my mom, and my two aunts.
Okay.
And then I would keep the tenants that are already there and just use that as a means to,
Sure. But
my immediate family,
Yeah.
Yeah, my immediate family.
Okay. Great.
There's note of 8 short-term and 3 apartments, right? So there's no change that you're seeing on the 8 short-term rental?
Not at the moment, yeah. Just the exterior, but as far as the rental units are concerned,
that's what I'm gonna utilize to supplement my caregiving costs for my family. And that's, you know, that's the opportunity that I see in it.
Any increase in that number would have to be approved by the village board.
And then are we checking that? Are we just making sure that we're compliant? Who does that? Is that Thomas?
Thomas, what would the compliance structure look like? Like, okay.
Yeah. So the second floor has 4 bedrooms that are currently rented and occupied. So those tenants will be vacated, and his family will move in those particular bedrooms.
Trustee Woodburn, you had a question?
Yes, you addressed paint, and there's been some comments and some concerns from some neighbors. I believe the property received a paint letter pursuant to the Village of West ND and its code. You've addressed touching up the paint, swapping out rotted wood, fascia, things like that. There's also a ongoing privacy fence in the parking lot off of the Oregon Street. Is that something that's going to be immediately rectified too?
If that's what you want us to do, absolutely. And I know we're not gonna touch up the paint, we're gonna repaint the entire place. We would like to go with a different color scheme because the red and green does not go well with the brick. So we would be willing to, I would be hard pressed to be certain that that was the original historical paint color. We'll restore it to any color you would like, but the particular paint colors don't go well with the current brick.
Director Scott, is that something ARC would opine on? Okay. So Trustee Woodburn, if I'm hearing you correctly, I think if I've read your body language correctly, you'd like some specificity on the repair matters.
If this board was to approve it, it would be, I would hope that it would be contingent upon repairing the privacy fence to spec that of village standard, as well as address the paint letter that any resident would have to do.
Understood. Is that something we could stipulate in the approval or in the motion for approval?
Yeah, you can make it contingent upon both of those items, yeah.
Okay. And I'm hearing from you, there's no objection for repairing the fence?
Absolutely not. We'll repair the fence, we're gonna replace all the rotted wood, and then we'll repaint the place to make it look magnificent. So we can come to an agreement with the Historical Society on what that might be, but the current red and green is not attractive.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Trustee Price.
I move to approve a license to Taha Azim for continued mixed residential use of 305 Oregon Avenue in accordance with village approved special use of ordinance 2024-19, subject to purchase of the property and village required annual property registration, and also of resolving the issues identified in the paint letter and repairing the privacy fence with the adjoins the neighbor.
Motion. And a second by Trustee Yaska. Any additional to comment? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Price?
Aye.
Trustee Uska?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
No.
Trustee Lapia Janis?
Aye.
Trustee Anderly?
Aye.
Trustee Wilbrant?
No.
President Nelson?
I don't have to vote, it's
Oh, okay.
4-2. So we have 4 ayes, 2 nays, motion carries. Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to new business, item A, 999 West Main Street, proposed location for Harvest Bible Chapel. Trustee Price.
Yeah, we've got in our agenda, we heard a couple of comments from the audience. And so I guess I will let staff say a few words about this. They have come in and talked to staff on this, and they're proposing, to open a church. And anything, Joe or Tim, anything you want to add to this? And it looks like maybe the proposed.
Try to keep the staff review at high level and make it as digestible as possible. In terms of the related items with respect to our code and how we have historically regulated churches, the inventory of them that are highlighted in your memo, and then the types of things that would have to be considered in order to entertain
And it looks like we have representatives here, so.
Right, let me just set the table a little bit. The Harvest Bible has approached and is under contract to purchase the space. The basic understanding that the staff has been presented is the conversations are to split the existing Life Zone building into two separate parcels, potentially retaining the east portion against the old Best Buy, which contains, I believe, the gymnastics side of the establishment as is. And because of the honoring the existing leases that are there, that portion of the property would remain taxable, and then Harvest Bible would operate out of the west side, approximately 100,000 square feet of the 125,000 square foot building that is there. And then I'll just kind of turn it over to the representatives from Harvest Bible to kind of let them go through their presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're excited about the opportunity to be here today because we are looking at what can Harvest Bible Chapel, as we think about these days ahead, we want to come alongside and support the community and offer programs that'll be a greater impact for what you're trying to accomplish in the community. So we're trying to be a partner with you, and so that's what really attracted us to 999 Main Street, was the opportunity to already see some programs that exist that are really going well. And so we're working with the owner to figure out how some of those can continue inside the building. And like what Joe said, it would be a taxable side of the building and continue to pay the TIF and those taxes that are related to that. Here's some of the comments of traffic, and we would love to work with any assessors that you would have to guide us through all of that. We don't want to be having people traveling through the neighborhoods. We'd like to control the traffic flow in and out of the building so that it won't have any direct impact into the community. So presently we have about 400 cars that pull into our church up on Randall Road, and we have a way to guide people in. We have traffic teams that guide people in and out of the facility so that it doesn't disturb Randall Road or any of the existing communities around it. So we try to make sure that we're a good neighbor in that way as well. As it relates to programs, that's what we would love to learn more about in these days ahead, of what it is that might be of greater assistance to the community that we could be offering inside of. So there's right now a gymnastics, there's the Chicago Health that would continue to stay there on the tax side of things. Then we're looking at what programs could we add to the facility that would be an enhancement to the community.
Thank you. Comments or questions from the board?
I had a couple of questions. So we heard about traffic impacts. I mean, a lot of stores, everybody has, those kinds of numbers. I think the difference being with an assembly use like that is just everybody's leaving and coming at exactly the same time, or roughly the exact same time. And so my concern would be is just, how do you control where that many people are going? We're abutted by 2 residential neighborhoods. So, what is, do we need police, for example, to be directing traffic? And so that'd be a cost to us as a village if we're having to staff, these every Sunday.
I would say presently we have anywhere between 10 and 12 people at our campus on Randall Road, that they monitor the traffic going in and out and make sure that people are parked in an orderly way. And so the traffic flow actually has been really managed. And we would look at Main Street as being that very same thing. We could direct them out to the light. We could also direct them out, and they would go, would that be east on Main Street?
So you have people that direct traffic?
They don't go out in the street. They don't have access to road access, but
yeah,
they
but like
monitor,
maybe at the exits,
yes, at the entrance and exits,
make sure
so that
people are turning their
and
correct
throughout
direction.
the parking lot, so that we can make sure that everything is done in an orderly fashion.
Okay.
And there's 2 ingress and egresses to this site, both at lighted intersections. There is a right in, right out. There are, within the Chicagoland area, there are a number of special details that municipalities enter into with congregations or even users of this size, and those are worked out typically as a on a reimbursement basis.
Okay, that would help. What would be the implications of this on our TIF? They're not paying, well, one, just like, I don't, TIF, I understand how TIF works, the increment kind of comes to, goes into the TIF, but when they're sort of a not-for-profit, they're not paying the TIF, and then also just sort of on the property value calculation.
Right, but as we've mentioned, as was mentioned, I think, to the board previously, we're working, proposing a development agreement that would provide an extended period of time of payment in lieu of taxes, specifically to cover, at a minimum, the existing property tax bill that exists on the property.
But
Would that cover the TIF
how does that
too?
cover the,
Yeah.
like, the way
TIF
the
is part
TIF
of that.
works?
The TIF, the current EAV on the property is included within that number.
Okay.
of current
So
property
Is
tax.
the total, within that 90, the breakdown is X amount to TIF, X amount to West Dundee, X amount to schools.
Correct.
And that would stay this, they would go, okay. And then I think you mentioned in the memo, like for how long that was, I'm sorry, I don't recall.
Yeah,
Is
there
that
was-
something that
Said
could
a
be?
number of years.
Okay, so we could revisit that, or put a number of years.
Right,
on
if
there,
you
right?
would like, I mean, there are reasons why I'm not putting it in writing, but I've shared with certain board members the number, but it is a substantial number of years. About 15 years has been what's been put on the table initially.
Okay. And, yeah, and I guess, just, to be honest, I'm sort of on the fence with this, and I think that's one reason to send it to planning and zoning, to get their input on it. The only, I guess maybe the thing would be is just, worthy of doing a little bit of a poll amongst ourselves, because I hate to send it to planning and zoning if, I just want to make sure that there's at least some level of support, and so.
Would
Yeah.
love to hear what planning and zoning has to say.
Yeah, my comments, I think, echo a lot of what, I think it was Debbie that said that. So can I ask a couple questions? What time is your worship on Sundays?
Currently, it's at 10 o'clock, but different campuses are different times, so we're open to looking at those as well.
Yeah, because you're gonna have 400, one thing is traffic, that was one of my areas of concern. And you've got St. Catherine's doing they do 9:30 mass?
Staggering their services.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a lot of moving parts from that perspective. The other issue was the tax that you brought up and making sure that that's included. But there's also foregone, it's zoned business, right? And we're foregoing a lot of the sales tax revenue and that too as well, because that used to be one of the, Target used to generate a ton of sales tax too, from that perspective. And yeah, I just want to make sure that it's, I'm on the fence on this one too, in terms of fleshing out, there's a lot of incremental expenses that I can see, in terms of support, so from the village that are required. And I just want to make sure that we have a cohesive plan to address those in terms of safety, in terms of, in terms of other types of support.
Thank you, Trustee Schlitz. I don't think there's any opposition to a remand.
Did anybody else have any?
And if I can
I'm
just,
opposed.
if I can just address Ms. Bach's questions briefly, Village, and I totally understand with the gymnastics inside the building, but they own their building, we do not. We don't dictate their use unless it comes to something like this where they have the right to sell their building. So they may continue that use with the gymnastics in part of the building, but nothing that we can do can kind of tell them how to use their building like that. So
It's very concerning there's a lot of sports events there.
right.
And there is no replacement for it. So coming into this community and eliminating all of that, just taking it away with no resolution, with nothing, that's
So we would like, Yeah, so we actually want to add, so we would love to work with the current owner and figure out where we could have that gymnastics and in the facility, because we know that is a value add. And we actually are gonna keep that middle section totally community facing and offer different sport programs, whatever we find that is most helpful for the community. We only wanna be value add. So the side that has the adrenaline monkey, that's where the worship center will be. But what you will see in the remainder of the building is just a bunch of continued added on features like basketball and volleyball and pickleball and different things that might be of value add. We like to learn more of what might be helpful for the community to have available inside the building. And so that's what we would like to do.
Just letting you know that's not what some of your congregation members are saying and telling at practices. There is a big conversation on eliminating sports programs.
Miss, you know what, if this gets remanded, there'll be a lot of opportunity to have this discussion. And I would suggest, if you are intent, maybe have a discussion offline, but that is not the purpose of tonight's meeting. Trustee Price, you have the floor.
Yeah, so, I guess vote will say whether we go to planning and zoning. So I will make the motion, move to refer to Planning and Zoning Commission a concept for potential adaptive reuse of the building at 999 West Main Street for a church and potential changes to the West Dundee zoning code related to places of assembly, including places of worship.
Motion.
Second.
Second by trustee Yuska. Any additional discussion or comment? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Trustee Price?
Aye.
Trustee Uska?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson?
No.
Trustee Lapigianis?
Aye.
Trustee Anderlig?
No.
Trustee Wilbrandt?
Aye.
4 ayes, 2 nays, motion carries. Good luck, gentlemen. Moving on to item B, Public Safety Center 3, conceptual design plans. Trustee Wilbraham.
What is in your packet, there's no motion at the end of it, so I think it's just a discussion and a review of the process and stages. Lots of representatives coming forward here, as well as Director Scott and Chief Green. What is a good background and a timeline to our current position, as well as a generic overall, what is tabbed option 6, along with square footage. Up for discussion tonight is aesthetics, as far as the prairie concept, as well as the square footage that is going to be ongoing of a discussion to try to get somewhere closer to 38,000 to 39,000 square feet. Funding options through TIP districts and other mechanisms, and RFPs for construction moving forward. So I can turn it over to you, John.
Good evening, trustees. Thanks for having us. Andy Dogan and Mark Rohde from Williams Architects. We also have, as part of our team, Ben Ehring from Erickson Engineering tonight, and Jeff Montanari from Leopardo Construction, who is on our team to provide cost estimating services. So tonight we're really just here to give you an update on where we are in the process and solicit feedback. We realize that design is a process that requires a lot of input from your staff and from you as elected officials. So that is really our goal for this evening, to show you where we are and listen intently for feedback so the project is on the right track. So realizing that this is our first time in the room since we interviewed for the project, there's quite a few things we want to bring you up to speed with to tell everybody how we got to where we are tonight. And so you don't have to listen to me the entire time. We'll break up the presentation into a few different parts. One of the first things we did, as I'm sure you're aware, is embark on a process of validating the space needs study that was completed by a previous firm for this police station. So in so doing, we had several discussions with staff to review their needs for the facility, review how the department works, review anticipated future growth, review best practices in public safety to arrive at the space needs. And the way that we do this is through a series of processes and discussions where we look at an absolute ideal If we could do everything that would serve the needs to the best of our ability, we would arrive at 1 square footage, and then we also look at a target, given the likely budget for the project and what is understood to be the project budget. We look at ways to bring the project to a square footage that we believe aligns with the budget discussions we've been having. So to quickly recap, the police department is working out of just under 8,500 square feet right now. Our target, again, the ideal of the plan is approaching 44,000 square feet. We are very confident in our discussions with staff to date, both to meet needs and to align with budget realities, that we will be able to bring the project in around that 37,000 square foot target. So we wanted to lead with that and just explain how we got to that point. So our goal is to continue targeting that 37,000 rough target. So we are balancing appropriate current and future needs of the department and the community with the budget objectives. Part of what we also did when we started this project was to tour some other recently completed facilities. And I know that some of you as trustees accompanied us on these tours. We looked at the police station in Arlington Heights that was completed a few years back, the Lake in the Hills Police Department that was just literally completed and opened a couple months ago, and the South Elgin Police Department that's very new. So in so doing, we were able to get some great feedback from both trustees and staff as to what they liked aesthetically, what they liked about the plans, questions, concerns. These are 3 very different buildings that serve the same mission, yet went about it in very different ways. So I thought this was a good exercise to get everybody into what we're looking at and some of what's happening out there. One of the things I want to mention as we set up this discussion, and I'm actually, if it's okay, Mr. Ehring, I want to turn it over to you to talk about the site. One of the things I want to mention that we also discussed very early in the process is the idea of the height of the building and different options. In other words, is this a 1-story building? Is this a 1-story building plus a basement? A 2-story building? A 2-story building plus a basement? Part of our initial analysis in conjunction with our cost estimating team was to look at all of those different options for these target square footages. And we were able to very conclusively determine that a single-story concept is not only the most cost-effective, but in discussions with the chief and his staff, that the plan was also the most efficient for public safety operations. So I did want to address that, but I will step out of the way and give the floor to Mr. Ehring to talk about the site.
Is it this or that one? Yes. I can make the mouse work. The mouse doesn't seem to work. All right. Can you forward it, Andy? There it is.
All right. First off, Ben Ehring, Erickson Engineering. Thanks for having us. The site here, you see we worked with your staff to allocate this parcel in this area for the police station. The intent here is for most of the people who are coming to the site to come from the right-hand side or the east side and basically come from either the north or the south and have an access point at the front where you can see them enter in. There's going to be overflow parking to the north. This, we imagine, will primarily be used when the police are having training events. Then you'll also see in the back of the house, you'll see some additional parking. This is going to be under a fence and under a secured parking area, and this is where the police officers will park their personal vehicles as well as have some of their fleet vehicles. There's also some fleet vehicles that would be going in the building as well. The primary access for the police would be to the separate entrance that you can see going off kind of in the northwest or top left corner. Ooh, pointer, all right. Yeah, there we go. That worked a little better. So coming off right over here would be the main police access. And one of the reasons we do this is we want the police to be able to get out as quickly as they can if a call comes in and they need more vehicles on the street than what's already out there right now. So this gives them a secondary entrance where we don't worry about them having to come through a potential populated area. The fencing would be placed right along here, come right around, go around this end, and close back off up here, making this whole back area secure. The other thing, and then again, I had mentioned the additional parking is right here. We also want to make this pedestrian friendly. So we figure most people who are walking will be coming off of this street. We have, it's hard to see here, but a table, if you will. We raise up the grade of the pavement 6 inches so that there is a flush walkway from this sidewalk along the roadway to this location. And that is basically the layout of the site from a circulation standpoint. We are holding a place right here for a plaza. That plaza will need to go back and forth, get into more detail about what the village wants to see, where flagpoles go, is there any sort of memorial or anything like that, and get the landscape architecture team involved in helping plan that space for usage. That is the main thought for the track, for the plot of land. You'll kind of see here, this is all heavy-duty pavement, this dark color, heavy-duty pavement. This is for your vehicles as well as the garbage, which we imagine a trash enclosure being back here. Everything else is regular duty pavement with a little bit of concrete at this table and back here by the trash enclosure. So that's how the site looks to basically operate. We've also given some space up here for some sort of public space as well.
Can you go back to the previous, I just want to see there on your map one more time.
Yes.
Previous
Go
slide.
previous to the previous slide. And one thing you'll look at with, right below next, right click, oh, no, right click, previous, one below. You got it, Tim? Tim's got it.
Do it. You got it?
Oh, go to previous again.
I'm gonna get,
Well,
I got it. That one?
so in we'll be a little bit north of that red dot. What you'll notice here is a lot of these roadways are going to be reconfigured, and that is still getting worked out. There is, when you go on the site, a decent elevation change. When I stand and look out at the site, there's about 6-7 feet. We've taken those thoughts into consideration when looking to design, just very roughly to make sure that we can accommodate those, so there aren't any real surprises when we come to the design of the facility. And if you go to the slide ahead, one thing that's actually nice with the elevation change is that this building will most likely be slightly higher than this. So we'll have this fencing around here that just adds another layer of protection for the police, having them sit up a little bit higher in that back of house area. With that, I'm tossing it back to.
Okay, and as we segue into floor plans, before I turn it over to my colleague, Mark, one of the things that we really thought about, in addition to just the placement of the building on the site, was the overall organization and the views that we would have out of some of the public spaces. So what you're seeing, that entrance to the bottom of this plan here is actually oriented northeast, and Mark will take us through the training, the floor plan and the training space in a second. But one of the real benefits of this orientation is we're able to have the true public space, that training and community room, with a nice northeast orientation, which is going to be absolutely wonderful for daylight. We won't have glare during times when that's most likely to be used. And it'll really present a really nice face, not only towards the rest of the redevelopment of Spring Hill, but on all four sides. We think the building will be a good neighbor, no matter which way we go with the exterior directions, which we'll get to in a moment. But first of all, I'll turn it over to Mark to talk us through the plan and the organization of the plan. Mark.
So as Andy mentioned, the whole thing is a process, and our first portion of the process was developing the program in that 37 to 40-something thousand square foot range. And once we achieved that, we moved to what we call bubble diagrams. And so those basically are not attempting to show all of the rooms, they're showing the major spaces. So for example, on each program, we had every area color coded. The color coding legend is on the upper left. So you could kind of flip through the written program and say, okay, light blue, that's the patrol division. The green in the lower right, that's all of the community, training, and wellness areas. So we developed, I believe by the time we're done, we had 9 of these. And as Andy mentioned, every permutation you could have of 1, 2, 3 floors and a basement. And I think the original thought was they wanted to make sure there was enough presence to the building. But what happened was the floor plan is not enormous at 30-something thousand square foot, and trying to divide it over 2 to 3 floors, it really became a very small footprint. So the building is obviously going to be taller than a typical residential unit. So the building, we will show you those 3D options in a minute here. I think it's got really great presence, and it's going to really show. And the beauty of a one-story scheme is no elevators, no stairs, it just saves money, everybody's together. And basically on all of the concepts, well, not all of them, most of them, we try to do a central concourse. If you look in the middle of the drawing, it's very light cream color. Oh yeah, maybe you can do the pointer. You can hardly see it. We've got a nice organizing element that runs left to right on there. And so you've got, as Andy mentioned, the visitors would come to the front. You would come in through the lobby, and there would be, of course, secure doors and whatnot. But now you've got a nice organizing element. And so you've got the various departments, records and command along the front, special ops, patrol in the back. And then the upper right corner is more the back of the house. It's the Sally port, it's the evidence storage, things like that. And at the very top or back, we have the heated vehicle storage. We have a certain amount that would be in the base bid, meaning you would get it. And then the other portion to the right, which is hard to see that line, would be an alternate bid. So, we would design it in such a way that if the bids come in favorable and the board so chooses, we would build a larger garage. So I think with that, we didn't bring all 9 versions tonight, but the next step is after we got good feedback and we went with this, then we developed it to what looks like a floor plan. And the color coding continues to be the same, and I'm certainly not going to walk you through all the rooms. Certain things, when you work on this type of a project, you will find spaces you may not have had in the initial. So I'll give you an example. There's a couple large toilet rooms. Maybe you can point to the center. I'll be honest, that wasn't in the program. And as we talked about it, staff, and we realized we should have some nice staff toilet rooms there. So original things in the program, we had a lot of individual toilets. We decided to group them together. So the plan kind of ebbs and flows as we work through it, but the same concept. So again, front door to the middle, records to the left, that's all the administration. Left of that, again, you can see an entry in the far left of the concourse and the right side of the concourse. Very nice way where you can come in the front doors and you can visit the lobby, but you would be stopped, if you will, during the day by some doors. But if you want to come into the community room to the right, we have a little separate quarter out front there. And I think Ben mentioned we'll put some sort of plaza out there. So if you have a nice evening like tonight, there's some sort of event or some sort of ceremony, you could pull out to the, I don't want to say south, but to the bottom of the sheet and enjoy the plaza, things like that, landscaping, outside tables, etc. Upper left corner is mostly wellness, locker rooms, etc. We've got sort of the special operations, the detectives in the blue in the lower left. Patrol is at the back. It's very nice. They would all come into that parking lot Ben mentioned, which would be in the upper left corner, come in with your gear bags, come into their own separate vestibule, go down their own patrol corridor. We can drop off the gear bags. We've got a mud room there. We've got different cubicles. And then again, to the right there, you start hitting the evidence storage area, long-term storage. To the right of that, it's hard to see, but that's the detention area, the sally port, things like that. And then the middle area is more some common spaces. And there is a training, the green box on the right, there's like a training, it's like a black box space, so we will blank it out. They'll be able to bring in actual props and do different types of training in there. So that's really the floor plan in a nutshell. Again, you can see at the top a little more detail. We have space for, I think it's 12 or 14 vehicles. And then to the right, that could be, if the alternate bid was accepted, you could see we could fit in the whole fleet. So that's everything on that. Now, we want to preface this. In the old days, you would make study models out of cardboard or foam core and things like that to give you an idea of the shape, the massing, the size. So we developed some simple SketchUp models, if you will, and I believe we came with 6. In staff feedback, village feedback, I think we narrowed it down to 4. Brought it back another time, got some good input, and we decided to bring 2 versions tonight. This is by no means designed, it's not showing material. It's really just trying to give you a good sense of heights, relationships, roof pitches, things like that. And so the first one we're calling more of a contemporary one, and we're just gonna let it play. It's just much easier to see that. So that just gives you kind of a feeling of what the building, shape and size and height would look like. So you can see the concourse is a long rectangular piece that's kind of taller by that clock tower at the back left corner. And that continues out, a nice glassy space. The perimeter spaces all start lower at the outer wall and then they slope up. In the garage, you can see we've got another roof sloping up, should let some nice natural northeast or north light coming into the space there. Some sort of a tower element could have a clock on it, like you have here. But that's just kind of an overall, there's the bird's eye view of it. So that's more of a traditional, but yet contemporary, I wouldn't say modern, but it's definitely, something a little more contemporary than, say, the building we're in tonight. Then the second option here is, we're gonna call it prairie style. And most people know what you're gonna have to get the next, there we go. That's gonna be your more traditional option. People are very familiar, there it is. And in a prairie style, we kept the same massing. You've got your hipped roofs, which is kind of those pyramidal shaped roofs, where all 4 sides slope up. Roof pitches are lower. They're typically 412 in a prairie style. There'd be more columns and masonry detailing. And again, these simple white massing models aren't really here to get to the level of detail that we will eventually get to once we get into schematic design, but just to really show you how the same floor plan could be expressed in a different exterior style. So that's where we come tonight with 2 options. So do we want to pause? Do we want to get any dialogue going?
I think we are just about wrapped up. What I want to emphasize is that we are still in a conceptual process. If we're using a football analogy in terms of going downfield and scoring the touchdown, which means the facility is open and being used, we're still on the 10-yard line moving downfield. We are at a very preliminary stage, and the exterior options we show, everything we're showing tonight is up for discussion. We're genuinely interested in your feedback, in your preferences. We have heard it all as professionals, so we encourage you to be very honest with us about what you'd like to see and what you'd not like to see, and we'll take that under advisement and keep working on it. So we're looking for your feedback tonight. There is really nothing we're looking for in terms of approval, just general consensus and direction. We'll be back before you at least one other time to show you where we've gone with this after what we hear from you tonight. From there, we would proceed into the rest of the project, schematic design and design development. And as Manager Cavallaro mentioned in his packet, that's the time where we would also look to bring a construction manager at risk on board to help us with cost estimating, value engineering, and scheduling the project. And as we move through that process, make sure that scope and budget are aligned. We put construction documents together and put the project out to bid. So that is where we are.
Thank you, and then thank you for the presentation. So Village Board, this is obviously, it's a big project and it's new to all of us. So I think we're just kind of taking a 35,000-foot view of this tonight. So I mean, I guess maybe we just opine on whether or not it's kind of heading the right direction. What I would suggest for the team going forward when we have this come back, let's maybe just have it as a committee of the whole and it be the only thing we talk about that night, just so we have, you know, the mental energy and time to do it. But tonight, I think it's just, you know, we're getting that 10-yard line view. Anyone have any major concerns?
By the 10-yard line, you mean 10 yards going?
Yeah, we were on the goal line, now we got the first
90
down.
yards to go. We're still backed up to
Yeah.
Just want to clarify that.
I just have just a basic question. Is the intention to have everything, as far as the plumbing and all that, concealed? Is it gonna be pipe chases in it, or are you having front access on your fixtures?
To be very honest, we're not to that phase yet, but
Okay, that's fine.
generally, yes, we have pipe chases. Anything that we expect to be frequently maintained, we always design for durability and for access to make sure that when, not if, there's an issue, we're able to get at it.
I would say this though, on a more contemporary scheme, it's not unheard of to have more exposed structure, beams, ductwork, conduit, things like that. Done well, of course, but yes. In a traditional prairie style, it's gonna be more ceilings, finished wood trim, things like that, so.
But if they needed to access anything to go within the cell itself, would it be front access or pipe chase?
I can answer that question.
There's usually, if we're talking about the detention cells, there's always exterior access to the plumbing piping from a chase outside the cell.
Right, but you're gonna gain access behind, you're not having to physically go in the cell to make the repair.
There's a little door.
Correct.
The walls are to 45, the 2 toilets here, and you open a door from the
Correct.
booking area.
Okay.
You will not need to go into the cell.
Okay.
Well,
If the toilet's leaking.
Why don't we
That's
save
fine.
some of the precise questions for as we get further along? Any just general impressions anyone wishes to share?
I got a couple thoughts, and so we're asking, you know, we had our first town hall on the mall, which I thought was outstanding. Tim, thank you. One of the questions in all of those breakout sessions was what residents kind of preferred, and you listed 3 styles, like I think it was like a transitional and a traditional and a contemporary, right? Yeah. How'd I do on that? All right. I'd be very, very interested in finding what kind of the input from those meetings are, right? In terms of design style, so that we're incorporating as much as we can from the residents' feedback in terms of design style. I will note that, you know, I've seen, you know, you passed numbers on, you know, 20, 25, and then there was a bond number of 40 to 50. That's a lot of money, and it's going to require, you know, a lot of support if that's the direction we ultimately choose to go. So I want to do, you know, I know the police station is very, very important. We need to get it done, right? But I'd be cognizant of the fact that, you know, the 25 to 30, you know, 25 million or a 40 to 50 million dollar bond issue is going to get some resistance from people in the community. Okay, so I will note that. I like the location behind, behind the Jewel there in that particular area. And the space of the conference room space, the shared, how many does that seat?
I think 120 people, it's about 2,400 square feet and comfortably 120.
It needs to have I like that as a community component to what you guys are doing. That's
Would
my
help with our public meeting when we want.
Yeah. Emmett's was tight.
Yeah, Emmett's was very tight. Yeah. So, yeah, I like the plan. I think the biggest thing will be, like, from an architecture standpoint, just context of what we're sort of thinking about for the surrounding. I'm sure you've seen sort of the visioning. So this being sort of one scale, one story, it's a little different scale than, say, a 3+1 or something that we're looking at for the rest. So just keeping that in mind, obviously. As far as, sort of the program elements, I defer to the users of the building that, you've got adequate input there. And I do really like having that community space and trying to make that, sort of as welcoming to the community as we possibly can. And, I think we all have a notion that some sort of, and I don't think so much in our community, but in general, sort of the repair of the relationship between the community and the police. And I think, that architecture can go a long ways towards that. So, I like what I see so far.
And Chris, I do love the idea of the town hall type format for this particular issue. I think that's a great idea.
I'm sorry, I had one other thing, and this is getting a little bit into the weeds, but, typically, I guess maybe conventional wisdom, multi-story is less expensive than single-story. So you were suggesting it's more the other way around. I guess that's mostly because of the vertical circulation piece.
We'd have Jeff
Yeah.
answer that.
This was a very detailed analysis, so I'm going to let the experts speak better than I can.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, Jeff. Jeff with Leopardo Construction, so we're doing the cost estimating for Williams throughout. Mark mentioned some of the bubble diagram exercises. I think 9 was like the base schematics that we looked at. There was other kind of iterations. But yeah, really when you look at going down, there's a lot of costs, whether they're permanent construction costs or temporary things like trucking and moving things around, moving materials around, that you're faced with going down. When you go up, there's other considerations as well of lack of efficiency in labor, material access. Mark and Andy mentioned things like elevators and circulation space and things like that. So we certainly did a couple pricing exercises looking at those types of options, but really your most cost-effective option is going to be to continue to spread out as a one-story facility.
Thanks.
It seems the flow is much better.
Well, the thing is, I'll be honest, the chief and his team got a nice core group there. We looked at everything, and the bottom line is it felt like we were forcing it to put it over multiple stories because, who's up in the second floor, who's in the ivory tower versus now we've got everybody's on the same level. Detectives can come across to patrol. Now, they're upstairs at admin. And so I think what Jeff said was kind of great. It's like we think the plan worked better one story, and then the fact that it seemed to be the most cost effective, it just sort of helped seal it. Because I know that we really talked about multi-stories quite a bit. And Tim did a great job showing us all the other things that are going on out there. And there was a definite concern, will the building be big enough? Is it going to look like, well, we're getting 18 to 22 feet in the air. It's good. You're not going to miss it. It will not be a 5-story building. But I don't think it wants to be a 5-story building. So I think the flow and the cost just really kind of
I would say for all of those reasons, if the struggle again really was if this is over multiple levels, what makes sense to be separated from everything else? And in our analysis, there wasn't a good answer for that from a functional standpoint. I think if there was, you'd be seeing it tonight because we'd be telling you that we thought it was workable. But it becomes an efficient plan in terms of construction. We don't have the costs of exit stairs and elevators and other accessibility measures. And it just ends up really fostering a one-team culture where everybody's able to collaborate and come together on a single.
Well, what Andy said, I mean, it makes perfect sense. 3/4 of the spaces needed to be in the first floor. You're not gonna put the jail up or down. You're not gonna put the evidence storage. By the time we were done, like, well, I suppose we could put admin upstairs and maybe one other department, but now they're split up for no it was literally doing it to say we did it, and the bottom line is, it was a 3/4, 1/4 thing. It just was not, it was just not working out. So I think this is a much better solution. People,
Yeah, okay.
normally, if you can do one story, people prefer one story just for working. But
Makes sense.
And just so the board's aware, what the intention is moving forward is, can you go back to the floor plan? One more, probably.
Come on, baby, you can do it. There we go.
This floor plan is at 43,000 square feet. Our intention is to reduce this back into the 38,000 square feet, so probably a $5,000 square foot reduction in this, which translates into obviously a less costlier of a project and building, but still trying to balance the functionality of the effort. So we're at 43, we're gonna try and reduce it by another 5,000 square feet. And then in terms of the architectural, from the staff's perspective, unless someone's going to argue differently, I think staff's intention is to take this towards a prairie style, more traditional, which we believe is respectful of what the village board and the community is going to expect from a project that we are doing. So that's the two, I guess, points that we were expecting the board to kind of give us or understand where we're taking this project as we bring it home.
Yeah, my point on getting their input, because we've asked the residents for, I'm curious to find out what everybody said from those meetings on architect. I just want to make sure that we're benchmarking that.
So everything around it is 4 stories. Like, how do you translate a prairie-style building into 4-story? I mean, that's probably not going to be the architecture of the other stuff. So my question is that really something that we want to do here necessarily? So I thought the contemporary looked nice. I like, bringing in the daylight that I think that affords. And I think it potentially would go better with some of the surrounding. So I guess I wouldn't want to decide that right now, at least personally.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you're saying the other buildings, I mean, Jewel's there, and then we have those low-lying Simpson and Center and all that. There's that older tire place, but what other buildings? 4 stories. I'm trying to visualize.
The mall plan across,
Okay.
so we.
Isn't this far enough away?
Well,
it's across the street.
But correct me if I'm wrong, I think part of the intention that we've had all along is with Public Safety Center number 3 is to set the tone, set the tenor, and set the architecture that we expect is going to be part of the future
I
development.
don't think you can do a 4-story prairie building.
I'm not advocating to do a 4-story prairie building, but I think the intention is that we intend to build a very quality product that is more traditional in architecture and to keeping in kind with the historic nature of the community.
Tim, chime in.
Yeah.
See the front of house and back of house in that floor plan, separated essentially by a light well. Sorry. A clear story that runs almost like a book spine. It reads like a second story, but it really, that's where the light is going to pour into the building. Not sitting up where that second level of windows is. That is meant to
And Tim, too, I mean, one of the terms I've heard you use over the years is, does it have a conversation with the architecture around it? Is there anything about this that would preclude any type of design style in the interior of the ring road?
No, not necessarily preclude, I think.
Yeah.
Things don't have to be matchy-matchy, but they should have that conversation. And this is a vernacular style that's been in a little contemporary flair such that it affords us some flexibility with the new things that may surround.
And because this is going to be closer to existing housing, transitionally, this might make sense.
Yeah,
right?
it's at the north end of the site, the least economic, the viable portion of the site. It's opposite of Cinemark that is, at least for now, intended to stay, which is quite contemporary in and of itself. So that is our only established context.
Yeah.
So whereas each project comes in, we're gonna have to manage it. I think authenticity, like anything, goes along making something feel right. And executing something like this, or something even this, but maybe a little additional contemporary flair, but still reading like a prairie building by and large, affords you flexibility, but it feels familiar, it feels comfortable, it feels respectful of its site, it feels like it could hold up over time, which is something I think we want to do, just like the building we're sitting in 17 years later. So nothing that we're seeing tonight would indicate, at least that version, that wouldn't stand the test of time and that it would preclude the other projects.
Chief Commander Brion, any thoughts that you're getting from the department? Any thoughts that you have?
One of the main things for me, I've been around coming up on 29 years now, so I've been in and out of a lot of these facilities. And one of the things that I love about how this is taking shape is you can really see how it wasn't a situation of the architects saying, you have 35,000, 38,000 square feet, figure something out. It was truly, here's what we think it'll target at, but forget all that. Let's dial down to each individual area. Command staff, what does that look like? Right now it's a chief and two. Look like in 5 years, what's it going to 15, 20. And I don't want to put you guys on the spot or the builders, but you know, we speak in terms of 40 years. This building is still going strong after 117 years. That building should too. And one of the things that I really love about this is this job has changed so much just in the last 5 years, let alone in the last 29 years. We really are, when you look at that floor plan, not only is the flow the best I've ever seen, in terms of just what makes sense for the troops, the people that are working in here. But it also really takes into consideration the fact that certainly 10, 15 years from now, but maybe by the time the thing is built, a couple years or a year and a half, whatever it is, there's going to be people performing jobs in that building that jobs don't even exist right now. And so as far as the input from the troops, those individual meetings that we had, it wasn't just me and Jim and Kyle deciding for everyone what it was going to be. It was the detective representation, the patrol officer representation, the civilian representation, each aspect of it. So what you see, even though we're still in the conceptual phase, that floor plan and that flow and the design to it, it makes more sense than any police facility I've ever been in. So I can only imagine that when it's actually built, it will translate even better than how it looks.
Do you have a preference to the style on the exterior? Okay.
I guess from the staff's perspective, I mean, you know, unless someone's gonna point us in a completely different direction, I don't see in any way, shape, or form the community of West Dundee supporting a more contemporary approach to this building versus a more traditional architectural, significant masonry type building. And that's just my understanding and interpretation of what I believe the feedback you're going to receive.
Tim?
I mean, given we're on the 10-yard line,
Matters though, if you choose a direction, especially something that's got this kind of design language, then you have to do it authentically or it's.
Yeah.
But Tim, yes.
When it's done correctly, and I trust in the design team and, able to say whether or not we can achieve something on that.
So
It really is a form follows function thing. I mean,
Yeah.
so much time has been spent on how it's used. Now the envelope is following and trying to make it uplifting for not only who's in there on a daily basis, but who
and is this the time where we need that input, or, I mean, we're at the 10-yard line, is it, now that?
10-yard line, not the opponents.
Right, I understood, that's why I say.
Yeah, so why don't we,
Yeah.
Can I say something?
yeah, please, Trustee Yeska.
This goes along with what you were saying, Tim, and you say it more eloquently, but in my opinion, Prairie Style has staying power, and it has proven that over many, many years. Contemporary, you can do, and 10 years from now, it's going to look old and dated. I mean, that's my opinion.
Appreciate that. The one that we used in our transitional example in the slide deck, it's a building that our friends here didn't design necessarily. It was countryside. But the reason we use that, we used Glenmorne for contemporary, we used Arlington for more traditional, we had a hand in there certainly. But the transitional one that I had in the slide, this is a couple years ago that you saw, was the countryside one because it is a prairie-based building, but it is infused with a certain amount of classic modernism that keeps it fresh, but yet it's timeless. I'm not saying copy that by any means, but where they're headed shows that you can do something that has this light-filled, uplifting interior, yet is instantly recognizable when you look at it. It's elegant, it's
So
they're walking a really graceful line here so far, in at least this version.
And I see multiple versions. If the board says, go with the picture of Prairie Style, I like what you said. There is traditional Prairie Style, and if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. It's gonna have the trim, it's gonna have the banding, it's gonna have the windows, but we can also look at a little more contemporary version of it that's not literally out of the design book. And we would study those kind of options as we get into schematic design.
I think this is great feedback for us tonight as we go through this process. We are not here by any means to say, okay, you want Prairie, we'll show, we're building Prairie. This is a starting point. Now we expect to continue with some optionality and say, here's a few different ways this could go as we get into design, as we look at the right materialities, we look at the right scale, and as we look at what it takes to conform this to the budget that you've established.
Great.
So all those things are in tension, but it's part of the process that we've got to solve, and we're going to continue to bring you those ideas.
Well, thank you, and I think this is the first part of a longer dialogue. Tim, I just had a quick question for you. Does this go to ARC and P&Z?
Well, I think ARC would feel.
Yeah.
Recorded and engaged with a project of this magnitude.
Sure.
If it were a private project, they'd see it.
And same with P&Z or no?
Probably not P&C.
I mean, we're something like that ultimately on our own terms, but.
Understood.
We can formally do that.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. All right, so again, this is the first part of the discussion. Joe, is there any official action we need to take tonight? Okay. Gentlemen, thank you for spending so much time on this. You did a good job.
We'll see you at the 20-yard line.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, that was a good discussion. Moving on to item C, which is the 26-27 first quarter financial report. Trustee Yeska and Trustee Johnson and Linda.
Okay, I didn't know if there was St. Catherine needed to be done. Are
Oh,
they here?
hopefully this won't be very long.
No, it shouldn't. We talked about it earlier.
Okay.
St. Catherine's.
I don't see anyone from St. Catherine's here. So.
Okay.
Linda, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a very quick report for you. Overall, everything is where we would expect it to be given the time of year, related to our revenues and expenses. Really, one of the only things I want to point out is, one, the over budget items you're seeing in the attached report are covered under the budget amendment that we did earlier. And then 2 is the water fund has not received the first IEPA loan for the phase 1 lead service line replacement yet. It is in process. We just haven't received the funds yet. So if you're seeing like those lower dollar amounts in the balance, that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Comments or questions for Linda?
Yeah, she looks to me. All right, Linda. Just a couple. I just got a couple. Very, very thorough. Thank you. Business licenses are under budget. Are we going to hit that? There's hardly anything in that. It's like $100,000 budget on the revenue side. We've only received 3,000 year to date. Is that?
I think it's a timing issue. I'm not exactly sure on the timing of the business licenses, but I don't think we've hit the time of year where we get most of them.
They're January 1st.
Okay, there you go.
They're not due till January 1.
Okay. All right. No concerns there then. Interest rates, I know the interest rate has dropped, but
It's gone down. It's come back up a little bit. You'll see under our the CD listing that I've gone ahead and reinvested, and I always try to get the highest rates I can given like a 24-month period. Generally, we don't want to go further than that to stay kind of liquid. So we're right around like 4 to 4.1% is where we're seeing those. And then the rest of our funds, we invest in a wind trust account where we get 0.5% above whatever Illinois funds is giving us.
all right. So we were short on that. The ambulance fees, yay, we're getting them right. You're getting your ambulance fees. Point of clarification, there's a 230 system charge. Is that your ERP conversion? Well, how much did you budget for your ERP conversion?
So the ERP, so that's that hasn't shown up as an expense yet. That was $350, I believe, or $330 or $350, okay. And then the other large expense for technology was the servers, I believe.
Okay, yeah, that's right, the servers piece. And then community development reimbursable fee.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
So that was part of the budget amendment. So that used to be, that's all those fees that we pass on to the developers to do like plan review and things like that. Before we were putting the revenue back into the expense to zero it out. So I've gone ahead and split that up so we see the revenue side and the expense side to give us a better idea of what these projects are actually costing as a whole.
And last but not least, we've gone through, where are all of these main breaks? Where's the expenses for all the fixes that we've had to do for main breaks? And
those end up in Fund 2 under water main.
Basically, either materials or contracting goes in that line item, but salaries and overtime remain in salaries and overtime.
Can we just get an assessment of what we've spent? Because we've gone through a lot of breaks lately this year. I've only been here a short period of time, but there's been quite a few breaks this year.
Sure, we can break it out based on cost, but certain costs, some main breaks are just the cost of a sleeve to repair the break once it's excavated, and so there's no out of pockets. And then we've had the breaks that we've had to contract out, so you've got an outside service that we've contracted with and the expense for that. So they're all over the board in terms of dollar amount, but we can give you a breakdown based on incident.
That'd be good. Don't, kill yourself doing it, but I just want to know, like, for my back of my head as to if we get one of these water main that busts, what are we looking at in terms of cost to the village? Because we've had quite a few of those things this year.
Sure.
So what determines when we contract out? Mostly if it's
we can't
like
get down if it's deeper. More than likely, it's deeper than what our current equipment can handle. So anything probably deeper than 7-8 feet is something outside of our wheelhouse.
So if you could help with that, that'd be great.
Yep.
Great job, thank you.
Any other questions? Moving on to item D, St. Catherine of Siena School Resource Officer.
Motion to approve it.
No, I think it was just
For
information.
information.
Trustee Wilbrant.
Okay, we've just discussed this before, but in your packet here is an ongoing agreement with St. Catherine's for a part-time police officer from the Village of West Dundee to provide some school resource officer duties. It is funded by St. Catherine's themselves, and essentially this is a reimbursement back to the Village of West Dundee for police services, I think to the tune of $40,000. That covers the school year of approximately 176 days at 4 hours per day. The math I haven't checked, but should be about that.
I think this is a good solution for everybody involved. Involves, from a police standpoint, from a church standpoint, keeps the village primarily whole from a revenue and expense perspective, improves the safety of the school. I know in the contract language there's some back and forth, but you've assured me that everybody's in agreement, both the diocese and the West Dundee attorneys, so everybody's checked off. So I'm full support of this.
I think it's good too. The the only thing I just want to make sure it's revenue neutral. So the you and I talked to so this is sort of contingent upon being able to find somebody at the 45-ish, and so there's some ability to float this depending on who we are able to find.
Right. That's the whole key to this whole project has been finding the right individual to take it on a part-time basis and working less than 1,000 hours and working that into the desired schedule by St. Catherine's. And we've got the agreement in place now. We know the financial parameters. Now the hard work begins. We got to go out and find that right individual that's willing to take the job.
Do we think this is going to be like a retired person?
Yeah, I think, Chief.
That's the assumption, and this is such a unique thing. It could be difficult to recruit, or we could have 30 applications in the first week for people who, basically the big sticking point that I would see is the part-time factor. It's difficult for people to retire from law enforcement, especially because we're a little bit younger. When we do retire, if you don't go into a job that has health insurance. But if you're somebody that's not a factor for, this seems like a pretty good gig. And then as far as we go, since the way the certification works, no matter what, we hire a lateral from another department who is not quite a lateral, but they left their employment with Town A yesterday and they want to start with us today. We have to apply with ILETSB to reactivate their certification. So that could just be a matter of somebody who just retired yesterday and wants to start this job today, or it could be somebody that retired a couple of years ago. They might have to get caught up on some additional classes that they've missed along the way to get back up to those mandates and things like that. But that's something workable for us.
And that's an expense that fits in the budget?
With the certifications?
Yeah, I don't know how much that is, if that's a thing. And are we paying them while they're going through this stuff again? And
We would be, so their time would be compensated by the school, so that their salary during that time, but the actual classes, things like de-escalation training and things like that, most, if not all of that is free, so to speak, like whatever we pay into with other organizations, like NEMERT is one of them. So in other words, we wouldn't be paying for $2,000 for somebody to go attend a class. Is what I'm trying to get at there.
As I mentioned, the key to this whole project is finding the right individual to plug into this position.
Okay, Trustee Wilbrant.
With that, I make a motion to authorize the memorandum of understanding between the village and St. Catherine of Siena for a part-time school resource officer as presented, and to direct staff to begin recruitment and hiring for this position.
Motion.
Second.
Second by trustee Johnson. Any additional discussion or comment? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Wilbrandt.
Aye.
Trustee Price.
Aye.
Trustee Huska.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Lapigianis.
Aye.
Trustee Andalay.
Aye.
All ayes, motion carries. Thank you, Chief. All right, moving on to item E, professional services proposal for Spring Hill Mall redevelopment flow monitoring. Trustee Huska.
In preparing for whatever is needed as part of the Spring Hill Mall redevelopment, it's important to study the sanitary system and the flows and before we move forward. And so this is just doing our due diligence and preparing for the future.
Right, we know what the design capacity was for the mall, based on additional residential units. We know it's going to be, more than likely larger than what existed previously. So what we need to do is some downstream, work to make sure, to understand the current flow volumes and make sure that we have adequate flows, basically from Locust, to Third Street, to handle this capacity, or what changes are necessary in order to support that.
We should learn something about I&I as well, too, if we need to do something to.
Correct.
Maintain the capacity, and we're not losing too much to.
Right, and that's part of the reason, the proposal, right? We don't believe there's a big I&I issue in this proximity or area. We believe there's a huge I&I issue east of First Street, but we're really focused on the line from 72 down Locust, crossing, and ends up back at Third Street.
Okay, and then will they, I didn't see it in their proposal and it wasn't talked about, but I would imagine televising, we'd want to do that too, just condition-wise.
Not for this. This is strictly on the monitoring, this is strictly on flow monitoring basis.
Okay, just making sure the capacity that we calculate is actually there based on condition.
Well, we're trying to figure out exactly what the amount of flow is, pipe sizes, and slope and grade to understand what the total capacity is of the line.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Okay.
Okay. I move to approve a professional services proposal with Baxter and Woodman for Spring Hill Mall sanitary flow monitoring at a cost not to exceed $25,000.
Motion.
Second.
Second by trustee Price. Any additional discussion or comment? Hearing none. Madam Clerk.
Trustee Huska.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Lapigianis.
Aye.
Trustee Andalay.
Aye.
Trustee Wilbrandt.
Aye.
Trustee Price.
Aye.
All ayes, motion carries. Before we end, Tim, Chief Spiro, and Joe, can we talk after the